today I'd like to teach the class about fashion. You know, the fashion industry, you know, when people wear the clothes that they wear, there's a reason why they wear them. You know, it's all different reasons. Maybe it's their personal style, they like that. Maybe it fits their lifestyle. Maybe it's the kind of clothes they can afford, you know, or maybe if they're very wealthy, they can afford different clothes. So there's a lot of different reasons behind that and the fashion that people wear. Now, it all started in the fashion world way back in the 1700s. Well, really it started, the center of fashion was in the Greek world, in the Greek time. You know, it kind of centered around drama. You know, the costumes in the theater and the makeup. So we really have a lot of influence from that. You know, when we look at Shakespeare and different eras at that time in history, you know, it was a lot of things related to theater, and that really influenced fashion. You know, after the Greek time, you know, as we move through history, we can look at Queen Elizabeth. And during her time, you know, she was a very, very wealthy woman, and she wanted the finest clothes. She demanded them, and she would buy all these different things and want all different kinds of fabrics, and it really influenced the people around her because, of course, you know, she was the queen of her whole kingdom. And so people wanted to emulate her. You know, during that era of fashion, they wanted to look just like her. So then as we move through history, we see it's changed over the years. You know, when people from England came to America, you know, that also started to change, and that spread through America because the lifestyle was very different in America than it was in England. You know, there was just a variety of people, you know, and whether they could afford all that fancy clothing or not was a big question. You know, the people from England that could, you know, they would get all these things imported from Europe, and then they would have these clothes and they would sell them, you know, to people who could afford them. And if people couldn't afford those clothes, they would actually start, you know, their own fashions. They would sew things and start up their own businesses. You know, and that kind of started influencing a lot of people too when people made their own clothes. You know, so as we progress to today, the things that are popular, you know, a lot of people look at Paris now. You know, that's kind of the first thing people think of with fashion. You know, they have the catwalks there, different fashion shows, you know, a lot of famous designers from Italy and France, and people here, you know, we buy our clothes from there. You know, the fashion designers start inventing all these different designs and the plans and the preparation of what they predict will be popular in the future. You know, so then the producers of all these fashions and the designers all get together. And now if you look at Paris and Italy and all the cities around there, you know, they have to start very early with the fashion preparations, you know, designing everything and brainstorming and figuring out what they want, you know, for the models and for the fashion shows and what they'll wear, you know, and what will be popular, you know, what they're predicting and what they hope will be popular and influence people here. And people from here in America, called the buyers, they go to the actual fashion shows, buy up all these fashions, what they think will spread here in America and the USA. And usually those places are like in New York City or Los Angeles, big cities in Florida or Dallas, you know, kind of that diverse area. And so we have these different centers of fashion that those buyers in those states, you know, from the west or the east or the south or the north, you know, they follow the climate. You know, depending on the fashion stores in that area, you know, they buy the clothes for those consumers, you know, appropriate clothing for that. People also look up to movie stars, you know, and the way that movie stars dress, we want to emulate that. You know, and most high schoolers your age tend to follow like MTV or the media, fashion magazines, you know, and they just want to be happy and they want to say, oh, well, maybe I want to dress like that person. You know, so that causes a lot of fashion influence. You know, and a lot of people your age look at the media, and there's just such a media overload. It can be overwhelming. But you know, the clothing can be influenced from anything from, you know, where you live, or who your idol is. You know, you want to dress the same as your idol dresses. So there's a lot of influence from that too. And fashion is not slow, it's a very fast process. We look at things called trends. And trends are from people who, you know, want to influence, and then we want to dress the same as them.